Thank you for joining us for this next panel discussion. As you can see, I have some rock stars on stage. Let's give them an applause. Thank you, gentlemen, for all joining us up here today. I'd like you to, there might be some people that don't know you. So I know that maybe isn't true, but let's do it anyway. Let's do some introductions. Just a few, if you can summarize who you are in a few sentences, how about that?
No, my name is Jim McCutcheon, High Grove Partners here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're celebrating our 35th year, and we're one of the larger commercial landscape companies here in the city.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hey, how are you all doing? Good, good. I'm Kona Gray. I'm a principal with EDSA Incorporated. We're a global design firm based down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm also the president-elect for the American Society of Landscape Architects. So happy to be celebrating 125 years of existence coming up, and just really happy to be here and collaborate.
I'm Austyn Roth. I own Lucky Landscaping. We're in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we specialize in commercial landscape maintenance.
Thank you. Frank?
Hi, I'm Frank Mariani, and our main office is in Chicago, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, and I'm happy to hear that Kona is down in Florida because now I reside in Delray Beach.
Oh, yeah.
And close to West Palm Beach, so I've got two new friends now to go out to dinner with. 4 years ago, I decided to sell Mariani Landscape, and now we have Mariani Premier Group, and we have 19 companies around the country, primarily doing high-end residential work. One of my partners, Ed Castro, is in the audience, so appreciate that. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you so much. So this talk is about the future of the industry. You're all from different parts of the industry and different specialties, and we want to know from you what you see in the future. Obviously, SYNKD is about getting, different disciplines up on the stage together or in the room together. And we can start with whoever wants to start, what you see as critical in getting some momentum to work across the disciplines in the future or just our industry in the future. Who wants to start?
You're ready.
No, let's let the young guy go down.
Too
here.
polite. Okay, you want Austyn to go? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess starting from the ground up with never working at another landscape company, I didn't know what was formal and informal, and we looked for an issue that our clients were having and a solution that we could solve. And I think our real approach now is, when we approach a customer, we become their partner and becoming their one-stop shop for all their landscape needs. But, it's building a relationship with not just our specialties, HOA communities, but it's not just building a relationship with the board and the property managers, but also all the homeowners within the community. So, if a resident needs something, we need to be able to help them out, as well. So it's really, we become a solution at a complete neighborhood. So whether it's a homeowner, of course, we're taking care of their community. We really focus on being a one-stop shop and really keeping the door closed for competitors as well. So it's really becoming a client's partner is our approach.
Great. I think we have another couple talks that talk about culture and, serving people and that servant leadership. I think that is very important to recognize that we're not about just plants and grass and design and construction. We're a people industry.
It's all about people when you really think about it. And what I consider and what I learned over the years in business is that it's about relationships, about knowing the right people. You may not be able to solve the issue, and you may have a one-stop shop, but there's certainly something that you can't do.
Yeah.
Right? But you know someone that can. And I think once you find yourself in that realm, then you become more of a resource, and you're able to connect people together, and then you start doing more than you would ever imagine, because it's not about holding it all in, it's about sharing. Right? And it's about abundance, and it's not about scarcity, and it's about learning from other people. And I think that for me has a lot to do with growth.
Kona, while you're talking, just a comment about the separation between landscape architecture and the rest of the industry. What do you have to say on that?
There's no separation. Please stop doing that. My wife and I have this conversation all the time. People are so driven to create these silos and labels, like, oh, you're this person person from that place, or this is what you do and this is what I do, or this is your political affiliation, this is, my school. We've got all these groups, right? But when you really boil it down, we're all human. We all need the same things. We need a roof over our head, and we need air to breathe, we need water, we need sunlight. These are all really basic human principles that get lost. And so I've seen it before. I've even watched my colleagues in the industry and like, oh, I can't talk to them. They're a competitor. I'm like, really? Are they really a competitor? What if they were a collaborator? What if they bring you your next job? Then what are they? Oh, well, okay, maybe they're all right, but they're still a competitor. I'm like, okay, we got to get past that.
I
Really
agree.
do.
We're facing a workforce shortage, so again, we need to be smarter about how we do things.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jim and Frank, I didn't mean to cut you off. Jim, do you want to make a
Well,
comment?
I mean, look, when we talk about kind of thinking about our customers and that kind of thing, I mean, we have about 700 properties that we take care of in the city. And every one of those properties has a property manager and a property owner associated with them. And man, from our perspective, the way we differentiate ourselves, we cannot do it simply on the way we landscape. I mean, it's very, very difficult to differentiate solely on that. So the way in which we build relationships is critical. And if you think about the world today for a property manager, it's a rough place to be. I mean, those folks are dealing with low occupancy. They're dealing with folks that are, trying to renegotiate their leases. The interest rates are killing them, all those types of things. So really the ability to be quick to a solution, help to solve their problems, not to be another pain to them. It's kind of like the Hippocratic Oath. The first part of that is first do no harm. It's the same thing with those property managers. So we try to make sure that we are a solution to their issues and we do it quickly.
Frank, do you have something that you'd like to add?
I always have something.
Oh,
I
good.
like that, my dad passed away 50 years ago, November 8th, at the age of 45. And I took over the business coming out of high school. And I'll never forget this. So my best friend, one of my best friends, his dad was a pilot for TWA. Another one was a sports announcer. Another one was a doctor. Another one was an attorney. And my father cut grass. And I was embarrassed. Until I took over the business and I recognized what we do every day, whether it's landscape architecture, whether it's maintenance, whether it's construction, whatever the case may be. We deal with so many different things that are 10 times more complicated than quote unquote my friends' fathers did at that time. And I had a newfound respect for my father, and I wanted to raise the bar in professionalism. Tried to do that with the gentleman on the end here when we were at Planet, with ELCA, with Planet, with NALP, being involved with ASLA. I'm so happy my friend is going to be the president. I got a feeling from what I've heard about him, some great things will happen with ASLA. But the bottom line is that we in the green industry need to continue to raise the bar.
Yep.
And when you talk about, one of the questions somebody asked, what's the next 5 years, what's the next 10 years, what's the next 15 years look like? Quite frankly, we typically are slow to react to opportunity, be it, little things like the environment, little things like the way we treat individuals at our company, our clients, and all those kind of things. So I think that we could be the poster child for what a great company is. I think we can be a poster child for offering people terrific careers. For example, when Dad died, we did $90,000. I have my dad's tax return. He was a heck of a lot smarter because he declared $30,000. I never been able to match 1/3 profit.
Whoops.
And being a good Italian, he probably put $10,000 in his pocket. So I haven't been able to match that. But what we did do is when we sold, we were 60 million. So we went from 90,000 to 60 million. People ask, how? And Jim and Ed could tell, never had a mission to be the largest residential company, only had a mission when somebody comes in for a position at Mariani, we don't hire anybody for a job, we hire them for a career. The only way you can keep somebody for a career is if there's a career path. Some people will never want to move off. If they were labor, they like being a laborer, they can be a laborer forever. But if they're like me, they want to go from labor to crew leader in training, to crew leader, to supervisor, branch manager, to president. Case can be, That's why we grew our company. We all have the ability to offer people opportunities like that if we spell it out. Jeffrey's program today was great, and he talked about that 3-year plan organization chart should show that there's opportunity for everybody that walks in the door at your individual companies.
Well, can I add something to that? The purpose of this is, what does the future of the landscape industry look like, right?
And how can we build it right?
Everybody's, ready to write down, here's that nugget that I'm going to take for the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, and build my company. I'm not sure any one of us can completely answer that question, but what I can tell you is there are some timeless things that are not going to change. One of the things that I enjoy when I meet some new folks is I ask, tell me what your goal is with your business. And invariably, most of them will tell me, I want to be 10 million or 15 million or 20 million and this, that, and the other. And I say to them, well, that's awesome. Tell me about your bottom line, because that's really what matters. I don't care how big you are. I want to know if you're actually making any money, if you're building an enduring company that's going to be around in the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. And if you're able to do that in such a way that you can build a place that people can grow and find a career. I think that single thing, that is one of the most timeless things. I think that is something that as an industry, we must improve on.
Yeah.
We must get comfortable with making tough decisions and making sure that we're building a strong foundation in our companies.
I would agree with that, and I'd like to add to that a level of care in the sense of knowing your purpose, right?
Yep.
Why do we exist? Why are we even here, right? Through my career, I finally landed on my purpose related to what we do. And it ties into how I live. So my purpose is to connect humanity to the environment. And I live that, and it's easy, and it's simple, and it's just like, it's clear. And so I have a North Star, I know what I'm doing, and I love doing it. That's the beauty of it. I don't even want to call it a career or work. I do what I do because I love it. And it's just easy. It's easy. And then it just plays out.
I think this industry, the one thing you can say is that we love our jobs. We love what we do. Again, I think it's very important that we know our North Star and that we make our companies work. Austyn, you mentioned not growing up in the industry. Out of the group, I guess maybe, you're the youngest. How did you make it early on, not knowing? Usually early days are the hardest, knowing what to charge and...
Yeah, and I think, right, it's trial and error, and you do a job and you see if you made money after, and you just kind of figure out, okay, the next time I better be higher on it, but I think, now I look back and it's like early on I was always chasing the money, and now I think we actually chase a positive relationship and doing good quality work. And I always think, like, if you're chasing money, you're always going to be chasing money, and if you're really chasing your purpose and doing good work and do what you say you're going to do, the money will follow. And I think that's kind of where we're at now, is that we take pride in what we do, and the money's kind of the second thought, and it follows.
But there's no doubt we're all capitalists, right?
Yeah.
I like
Exactly.
money.
Exactly.
I like making money, but and having that money allows you to do things, right? And whether it's providing opportunities, being a philanthropist, giving some of that away because it's the right thing to do, I think that's fantastic. But when your purpose aligns with you making money and then you're able to do things with it, it's gold.
They have, some people live by the 10 commandments. 10 is too many for me, so, we...
Careful.
We like to
I've heard this.
We like to have two basics. When somebody comes up and talks to us about, really what are we focusing on? I like to keep things as simple as possible. Kona, I would agree that if you look at the basics, so for us, we've got a quarter of a century club at Mariani. For anybody that's been at the company over 25 years. In Chicago, we've got 50 people. Wow. It doesn't happen by accident. Some of them over 40. And almost as much as many as I've been there. Right. But the reason is simple. Base the decisions that you make, take the whole leadership team. And by the way, the good thing I like about a very healthy company, it's not just the operating committee or the management committee. The leadership committee goes all the way down. Everybody's a leader at Mariani. And you say base every decision on what's best for all the associates that work at Mariani. The second commandment is what's best for all the clients of Mariani. If you base every decision on what will effectively improve the lives of the associates that work in Mariani and the satisfaction of our clients, how could you possibly make
Can't
a
go wrong.
mistake? And by the way, you know, some people, I just heard this the other day on a podcast. I almost drove off the road. But somebody said, well, you know, the clients aren't always right, and if the clients are right, it'll ruin your company. I don't believe in that. You know, 100 clients, I might get one that takes advantage of the fact that at Mariani, every client is right. And that's because most people are honest. And those are the ones that we want to work with too. So those two basic commandments can really, I think, take a company to the next level and beyond and make life a lot easier because you can make every decision based on answering those two questions. What's best for our associates? What's best for that client? It's best for the company. So.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Today, you know, we have, since COVID happened, we have had a lot of work and then climate change issues. What are you guys seeing and how are we going to work better to raise the bar from an environmental point of view? Jim, do you want to start?
Well, so forgive me, but I'm going to give a little preamble before I start
good,
that.
okay.
So I love to read. I love reading military history. And the reason I love to read military history is that it's great lessons in leadership and great lessons in strategy. And one of the great books that I'm reading right now is called The Guns of August, which is the lead up to World War I. Right, the first 30 days of World War I. What was fascinating in that is that the French, the Germans, and the British all had their plan. Man, they had worked on this plan for years, that when war comes about, I know exactly what we're going to do. We all do the same thing, correct? Well, guess what? When war broke out, the other side didn't comply. You weren't where you were supposed to be. You guys were supposed to be here, not there. And then they all refused to believe what was actually happening in reality. And so they continued to stick with their plan, and it didn't work out real well. So what was supposed to be a very short war turned into 4 years of horrible things, right? So I tell you that, not to bring you down today, but I tell you that from the standpoint that we can do the 3-year plan, which we should. We can do all those things. But you have to be able to be adaptable to what's happening in the environment, what's happening in your world, and be adaptable in such a way that you're not forfeiting your values and vision of the type of company that you're trying to create and build. But you might have to strategically change some of those tactics, right? So we're talking about today some of the advocacy and some of the things that are happening to us. Are we going to have to use electric? Are we going to have to use less water? Are we going to have to use fewer fertilizers and this, that, and the other? You have to be able to adapt to those things, but not give up who it is that you are. So it is the concept of not being willing to change, but it's actually embracing change and being willing to bring that through your organization. So.
Fantastic. Great. Yes. Anyone else want to?
Yeah, I'll add into that too, because I'm an avid reader. There's a book I read about a year ago called The Nature of Nature. It's by an environmentalist named Enric Sala, and he touches on the importance of every piece of the ecosystem, right? You know, his big thing was, you know, sharks are good. Sharks are really good. When you take away a keystone species from an environment, things just go wrong. Yosemite lost wolves at one point. Things went wrong. We had too many deer all of a sudden. Yeah. It caused all sorts of environmental issues. At some point, and I know it's happening now, I see a big groundswell because we're all starting to figure it out because we're experiencing it every day. We're experiencing more fires and floods and all kinds of craziness. We got to come together and understand that we're all connected and we all need this environment. I mean, honestly, it is like imperative, right? I don't want to like scare people, but it is about survival, right? When you really think about it. And going back to your point on war, what I find very interesting is I would say 99.9% of conflicts are over what?
Resources.
And land.
Okay.
Somebody wants somebody else's land, somebody is, you know. Yep. It's really interesting how the land brings us together, and in many cases we don't treat the land as well as we should. And that's gonna bite us. And it has. And so I think there's a really great opportunity for us, you know, this collective green industry. I mean, we're very powerful when we come together, right?
Yes.
Just think about how much we can do to protect what is naturally the thing that we steward. So if we didn't have the land, we wouldn't have businesses, right? We wouldn't have a place to live. It'd be pretty bad. There's the call to action. There's the spirit. There's what we can do together to make everything better for us.
You know, right now with this politically charged world, I'm equal opportunity. I can't stand Republicans or Democrats, so, I can look at that. But then you brought up climate control, right? And here again, the thing I don't like about politics is you have wonderful friends that can't stand each other because of their political affiliation. That blows my mind, because I don't think they deserve to split up friends and family. Then you look at climate control. Why get an argument if Mother Nature is bigger than everything that we throw at her or not, when in fact, if we can do something that effectively improves the environment, for example, at Mariani, we have 300 automowers. I want the Mariani Premier Group to be all automowers. No carbon footprint. But it's not only that, you just keep looking at it. Somebody's not pushing a mower, smelling those fumes, let alone the homeowner and the public in general. But you're also going to change the size of your fleet because you're not carrying all these big mowers around. You're not going to be hauling grass clippings and having to compost those. You're not going to be using as many chemicals, whether they're organic or not. There's so many improvements that are made by just making and adapting little changes. Noise pollution, all these different things that we effectively can change and make a vast improvement. What we need to do is a better job of letting the public know that we care about this and that we're going to do things that we can to effectively make the world a better place. That's what we do every day.
Yeah.
Starts with landscape architecture and then gets down to when you're actually maintaining the turf. You know, one of the goals for me, although I have 3 beautiful grandchildren, probably the best looking grandchildren, the nicest grandchildren you've ever seen in your life. But I don't want to have, whenever I can prevent our landscape architect from designing a home with turf, I'm as pleased as punch. Now, I'm still a capitalist. I still like money, but I want to use native plants. I want to use things like that. And I want to have Joey and Anthony and Francesca. You don't know these kids are Italian, do you? But I want them to go to the park to play in the bluegrass. And I want at their homes to enjoy Mother Nature and things like that. So we can all make these types of improvements, but as we make them, let's also broadcast it so we get a better reputation and raise the bar of professionalism in our industry.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
You know, it's that we have the power. Like everybody in this room, everybody in the industry have the power to raise the bar in our own industry and to do things better environmentally or by the 2 commandments. That's a new phrase now.
Don't do
No,
that.
no.
You're like, don't encourage him.
Don't encourage him. He'll come up with some more in a minute.
But this is it. You know, you guys are doing it. You are raising the bar. You're actively doing. We can all do that, and we can learn from you as you share your experiences. This is exactly what we need.
Could I ask one
Go for
question?
it. Sure. Yes, go for it.
My brother is a building architect. He's in Charlotte.
Yep.
And he called me a couple months ago and he said, you know, AI is going to take over. There's going to be, aren't you worried about that? Because you have companies that do landscape architecture and, you know, we also have bid-build companies and do that kind of stuff. And do you have a take on that? In the future, I have my own opinion, but I'd love to hear yours.
Frank, you stole my next question. I can't believe you read my mind.
We can roll right into that. I mean, think about it. You know, we're in this technology revolution right now, right? We had an industrial revolution. We had a lot of really amazing upgrades, per se. And in this technology revolution, there are a lot of great upgrades, but there's also a lot of downgrades that people aren't realizing, you know? Like, for instance, I've always had a great sense of direction. I don't know how it happened, but I grew up with a great sense of direction. And then this damn thing comes along, right? and I'm like, I'm nervous. I'm like, what? Should I make this turn? Should I not? Is it right? You know, it helps you to figure out if there's traffic coming or not, but it dumbs you down in a big way, right? It really, really does. And so we're encouraged by AI in terms of what it can do to make our lives easier. We're discouraged by AI in terms of what it's going to do to make our lives worse. And that's something we all have to be cognizant of, you know. If there's something you can automate, something you can make easier, absolutely. You know, ChatGPT, you know, if you want to use that to get started on something, sure. go for it. But it still needs the human touch. You still need to like really author it and put your editing, your creative editing on it to make it better. We are using AI as a company. I said we're a global design company. We're working with firms and groups all over the world that are really trying to push the envelope. And so we have utilized AI to help us generate quick ideas, but then we creatively prompt it and we creatively edit it. So it's just a way to help us generate more ideas. In terms of the automation and making something very easy, we use Adobe Photoshop to create imagery to show our clients the vision. And so let's say you have an image and a person in this image has a red shirt and you want it to be blue, right? Okay. Or a client comes up and says, no, I think blue would look better. And so with a prompt, with a app, you can change it immediately. Or before you used to go in and really do this and do this and do this and make it happen. But I think it's all about understanding why you want to use it and what it can do to make things better. Again, always seeking to be better, not worse.
I've been asked a question recently about it because I think it's very powerful, but this person that I was conversing with said, yes, but aren't we going to get people that don't understand landscape design using AI to break into the industry or whatever, and they actually can't deliver, and we have more people it's lowering the bar.
Yeah, but the marketplace will take care of that too. I mean, somebody's going to hire that person, but eventually when it doesn't work and they have to pay to fix it, that person's gone.
Right. Yeah. And I think it always comes back to the foundation. The foundations of design are very straightforward. And if you're not taught these foundations, it doesn't matter what sort of high technology you have, you won't understand the reasons for composition or how to place things together. And so the foundations are key, and I think that every education program, whether it's a vocational or a PhD, you need to understand those foundations, those true aspects of what it means to actually do what you're going to do. And you can't skip it. Yeah. You just can't. I mean, a lot of people want the quick sort of instant deal. No, you got to work hard. You got to try. You got to really stick to it.
What's your take on it?
I agree 100%. I mean, I think that for a mundane, there's situations where you could use it. And I do think it'll be used to save time like a lot of us are doing right now. But I think you can't take the creativity that we have amongst ourselves to deliver the type of product that a client that I would want to work with would want. Right. So I think that striving to be the best, which is kind of a mantra for me, I'm not worried about AI taking our role in that.
What about generational differences in our industry?
Ask the young guy.
Yeah.
Gets back to the basics again. I don't want to hear this.
Okay, Austyn.
That's an interesting one, I guess. It's definitely interesting when we go to hire people, and there's a lot of old ways out there, and we have a fresh perspective on how to do stuff and how we want it done and how we deliver it to a customer. So, if we're going to hire, say, an account manager or something like that, and they're older, they have a different way of communicating, doing business, presenting stuff to, now it's some customers, some board members are the younger generation now. I think it's definitely turning. So there's definitely issues, but it's about training them, and like AI, ChatGPT will rewrite anything you want it to, and will definitely add a spin to it. We've used it for employee handbook, just quite a bit of stuff, to rewrite and put a new emphasis on it. As simple as if you want to put a post on LinkedIn and you want it to sound better, So, but I think the generational is, I think there's a lot of new people coming in, a lot of younger people coming up in the industry, and that's the future of it.
And what do you see that's different? I know you've said that you've built some friends in the industry that they ask you for help, and you talk, you like helping people. That's why you're here today,
Yeah.
What do you see? Because I see, different generations, that's diversity as well. So you want to retain that, but you're doing something different. So how has that transpired in your business?
Yeah, so I think, we do quite a bit of stuff different. One big thing we do a lot differently, on a commercial property when we're going to give them a presentation, we'll do a whole video shoot at their site, With the account manager, production manager, we'll walk their property, we'll point out differences of what we see, what's already done well, because we want them to know who we are before they hire us. It's a mutual relationship, so, well, yeah, we're gonna get your money. If it only works out for 6 months, it didn't do us any good. We wasted our resources on cleaning up your site and beautifying it when it wasn't a long-term, relationship. So I think that's a big thing, of 4 or 5 minute video at their site as a proposal, so it's not just the numbers, because our numbers are not going to win us any job, because we're always going to be higher. So it's simple ways to explain stuff. I think flashy marketing material, that's no good. I think it doesn't, you could have all the flashy postcards you want, but it doesn't really show who you are and what you have to deliver. Suits and ties also, I don't think win work anymore. We're working people, we're in the field, we understand it. So it's really showing who we are.
Great.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's like showing who you are, right? And frankly, owning who you are. Nothing wrong with that either, right? No one else can be you, right? We're all uniquely qualified to do what we do, and we can learn from each other. And I think what's great about the generations, I remember being in a meeting, a shareholders meeting with my partners, all different ages. I was one of the younger ones, and they were complaining about the new hire. They're like, oh, these guys are awful. They're Gen, I don't know if it was Gen Z or whatever it was. I'm a Gen Xer, right? So I'm really close to the baby boomers, and my work ethic is very clear. And what I found very interesting is these guys are complaining. I'm going, weren't you a hippie at one point? Weren't they complaining about you at one point? They were like, you don't work hard and and you're drinking and you're listening to rock and roll and you're lazy and all this stuff. And now you're like this, top, professional in your field. Well, give it a chance and see what you can learn. One of the things I feel very blessed to do is mentor young professionals, and that has been fantastic. I learn more. I've learned from you, just in our little bit of conversation we've had, and I just find it pretty interesting how much you can learn when you open your mind, right? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, how well you've been doing it, there's always a little better way to do it, right? Or it's just a different way to do it. And I think that makes us better. It always does.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all need each other. The old folks need the young folks and vice versa. As I'm in the latter stages of my career, as much as I don't want to admit that, shut up. All of you. One of the things that I'm really focused on is kind of building the next 35 years of leadership and putting the foundations in place to be able to do that. And I'm looking at that from kind of 3 different categories. I have the wisdom category, which are the 40 to 50 plus year olds that have really taken their beatings over the years and learned a lot from that and can have a lot to share and help people grow. There's the experience level, which are the 40-ish. 30s to 40s that have kind of, they've been around for a while and they've learned a lot, but there's still a little bit more to go. And then there's finally the promise category, which are the 20s plus that, there's a lot there and they could potentially be that next great generation in the organization. But you really need all 3 of those pieces to make a company function well and grow well. And so I don't think you can take one approach or the other.
I totally agree, and I think that learning from each other is the key, and whether that's different types of businesses or within the business and different generations, it brings value to listen to people.
Yeah, we have so much in common. It's like I have conversations with folks that have really, really large businesses or a sole proprietor. We're still trying to do the same thing. We need to invoice, right? We need to collect money, right? We need to go market ourselves and win jobs. A lot of it is very, very, very simple and similar. We need to transition, right? We've been having a lot of conversations recently at ASLA about succession, and what do you do to pass your company along, right? And if you're the visionary that started it and you have these values, what happens when you're gone? And how do you work through that and understanding sort of your exit plan or whatever, but ultimately it's about opportunity and being that example for opportunity and how to grow it and how to pass on that legacy. Charles and I were talking about this earlier. He went from $10 an hour, at the bottom to like $250 an hour, like really making money, right? But it's not just about making money. It's about the example he sets is the opportunities that come from that example.
Yep.
And it's just allowing us to be self-sustaining, which is what we want.
Well, that leads quite well into Frank. You know, you're transitioning your company, the vision that you created, or you fulfilled from your dad's. You took the reins from him, and you're building something bigger. You know, tell us what your vision for Mariani Premier Group and why you're doing that.
I think for me, it was simple. My son came to me 4 years ago and said, "Dad, I love working with you, but you are crazy, and I don't want to do what you do every day." And basically, he said, your friends are the associates at Mariani, the clients of Mariani, and people in the green industry. And I looked at him, I said, yes, and he was absolutely true. So this is not a job. That's why over 50 years, you know, I've got my friends and now new friends, and this fulfills my life. I'm I'm blessed to want to go to work every day. It's amazing. And I don't know how many people can say that. But when my son said that to me, I said, look, we've got all those people in the Quarter of a Century Club. What happens if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? And so I said, Frank, we're going to look at ESOPs. It didn't work for me. And then I talked to a couple people that had taken private equity, and I met with about 30 companies. I wrote a script. The script was to be the best landscape company in the world. And
That's very good.
a lot of people would say, oh, you know, Chicago, Mariani, you're fantastic. I know every single day that we could be better. And so what I set out to do was to partner with other companies who felt that as good as they were, they might be the market leader in their particular area of expertise. Some landscape architects, some build, some fine gardening, some sustainability, whatever, maintenance, whatever it is. If they really aspired to be the best of the best in their particular market and understood tomorrow they could learn something by having the best peer group amongst our team, that's what we look for. So I've turned down more companies than we've partnered with because they already felt that they'd reach it. Good for them, not good for me. So that's kind of what we set out. The other thing is, what's amazing, I'm going to be 70 next month, and you know, I think our generation, my grandpa died when he was 70, he was old. I'm 70, I feel like I'm 35, you know, and I think our generation is a little bit like that right now. So I don't really see an end game. I'm going to continue to work as long as I can add value, but there are a lot of owners out there who, she or he, are aging out, and there's no game plan. Right. So if you really care about your people, I mean, how could you not have a game plan?
Amen.
You know, so this is really grounded in, again, maybe two basic things. You know, number one, what's great for that associate, every one of them, which I think is longevity and opportunity, and what's best for our clients, probably that to continue there's a plan for the company to continue when I'm gone and when Sarah's gone and when Jimmy's gone. It doesn't make a difference. So that's...
Amen.
You know, it's not really lofty goals, but really important goals.
Our founder did the same thing.
It centers you.
Yeah. Ed Stone realized early in his career that he didn't want the company that he, you know, really loved to fall apart after he passed. His father was a Starchitect before Starchitects was even a word back in the 50s. He was on the cover of Time magazine in 1958. Ed Stone Sr., his shop just shut down. When he was done because he was the guy at the tip of the pyramid. And so what Junior did, our founder, was like, he looked around, he's like, I like working with you, you know, let's do this together. And so he just gave the business away. He shared the business and created a succession plan immediately by doing that. Wow. And so now we are on the 4th generation of leadership. We're 64 years old as a company. We do about 40 million a year in business, and that's sustainable, and we just keep going and going and going. And you know, that's my responsibility, is to identify the people in the firm that I know will be the next generation, and just give them everything we can. Just push them along, help them any way we can. I mean, I still remember my mentor loaning me $6,000 so I could put a down payment on my house. I mean, that's how much it matters. Wow. You know, and that's when you go from mentorship to sponsorship, when you're really helping someone to be better.
Well, you guys are helping the next generation just by speaking about this. So I really, really appreciate the efforts that you've made to come here today and to be with us. We do have time for a couple questions if anybody wants to ask. There's also, if you think of something later, I haven't been maybe participating in this too much, but the Hoover app has opportunities to ask questions after the session is over, and we can get responses to you guys, and I hope to continue the conversation.
First of all, Jay, I appreciated your conversation earlier in terms of the organizational development and change in the industry. But I think what we're learning now in the future of our industry should really be focused on advocating for the environment. Again, going back to we need this planet to do what we do. And I think it's also rooted in caring for each other. I mean, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, all, right? We should love each other. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do, we should love each other and do a great job together and keep this going because it's awesome. I've been in the States for many years, and I love living here. It's stable. I've lived around the world and I've seen a lot of stuff that's kind of shaky, and we're so fortunate. We shouldn't take that for granted. Continue to love each other, continue to do good work. That's the future for us. People around the world envy us. I can tell you that right now from experience. They want to be here for a reason.
And I think too, from a tactical standpoint, labor is going to continue to be an issue, right? It always is that issue. And so all of these folks back here are doing a wonderful job of trying to take the brute force aspects out of the business that enables more women, other folks to be involved in what we do. Plus the robotics, as Frank mentioned earlier, some of the other things. I think we're going to see ourselves shift less from a brute force, grinding it every day, to more of a service. How can I help you build value in your assets? That kind of business.
I think joining different organizations, for example, becoming the president of ASLA, a lot of people say, well, that's absolutely an honor. I have a feeling if you ask this gentleman, it's an honor for him to take that role, and he's probably learned more or as much as he's given, because Jim did the same thing with Elka, Planet, and NALP. I've learned so much by participating in these different organizations. And then, how did I learn about automowers? Well, it's from hanging around shows like this and talking to people at Husqvarna or at Steel or at Toro and learning what's the newest, greatest thing. Plus, if you think about it, we have a lot of Mexican workforce in Chicago. And one of the 40-year-old employees who's been pushing a mower came in and said, Patron, I'm going to lose my job with that mower. I said, you're not going to be mowing anymore, but guess what? we're going to train you more in horticulture. We're going to have to pay you another $4 to $5 an hour. Big smile on the face, win, win. Win, win, right? Well, there's some very smart people. This young man right here who said he's not afraid to charge, I want to kiss him on the lips, I'm telling you right now.
Okay, that's for by the heart. You wait till you're by the heart.
But the bottom line is, one of the things that I think the 4 or 5 of us love about this industry is everybody wants to share. Everybody who's really going to take the time to attend a show like this is here to learn something and to give. And why not take advantage of that instead of trying to reinvent the wheel? Right. When we looked at becoming the best landscape company in the world, it's because we can take ideas and borrow them from all of you.
Right.
And take what really works and try to take advantage of that, and look at things that failed and try to stay away from those. So this is a great opportunity here. And I don't know of another industry as great as ours when it comes to sharing. It's amazing. You can pick up a phone and basically anything. And that's why this networking, when I talk to the private equity group, was very selective. Most of the time, I think I told you, I talked to 20, 30. I had to take a shower as soon as I was done because... But I look for one that really recognized that this is a relationship industry that we're in. This is not garage door openers, or it's relationship driven. We're talking with the clients, hopefully on a daily basis. We're talking with our people on a relationship. Remember the 2 commandments. That's what keeps me going. So.
Yeah, and to add on to that real quick, I mean, look, the easiest way to get started with that, because I mean, the concept of being a lifelong learner is critical in any profession, but seriously with ours as well. The easiest way to get started with that is joining your local organization. I mean, if you are not a part of your local organization, you're hurting yourself far more than you're hurting anybody else. And so I will say, Mary Kay, if there's anybody here that's from Atlanta that's not a part of UAC, I'm happy to speak to you today and help you figure out why you're wrong. And you need to get your ass to the meetings. So.
Thank you so much, all of you. I really love that you're here, and I love all you guys, everybody.
Austyn, you gonna say something?
The pod row in the back, we would like for you, Gracie is one of the podcasters that's flown in from Florida. We have Naylor in the back. We would like to interview each of you on their podcast, and it'll get out to the rest of the industry. Let's spread the message of how to raise the bar and do it better. And no people better to do that than yourself. So thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you. By the way, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank
See
you too. West Palm.
Great job, my friend.
Man,
Okay, well, I'm
likewise.
done. I'm going to give you my